project anything like that right now.
No.
Okay.
What we can tell is revenue, but I can't tell you the.
Okay. I just-
Go ahead.
Two more questions. Sandy, can you give me a rough estimate of how many inspectors have come through this facility in, say, the last 3 months? I mean, it seems to me every week you come in here and say, another group of inspectors have been here. How many times do you have to have a facility looked at?
Well, because we were a new facility, for life safety and opening, we had two inspectors each visit, so we had a total of 4 inspectors to get our, and that's when I involved you for our life safety inspection. Then we had our regular annual inspection, and we had 7 inspectors, 3 days. 7 inspectors 1 day, 6 inspectors, I think, the following 2 days. And that was our annual inspection. Now, 2 of the individuals from Department of Health and Human Services, they were here for oversight of the team and talking with me about the process. Okay. Then, last past week, and again, this is positive. We're bringing more money in for our budget, for our revenue. But I believe we had 7 auditors here.
I was getting up there.
So it's nice, and I sense the reason why we've had a lot of interest as well as because of the nature of our building. And,
Now, when you say auditors, are these bean counters, or are they somebody that comes in and looks at the piping and and you call them auditors?
Oh no, they looked at every piece of or every nook and cranny we had in our facility, because we will be submitting our costs and our reports, because they'll be working on our new rate setting for starting January 1.
And my last question is, you mentioned that one of the items you're going to go over on is oil and propane, I think you said. Is there a way for you to give us a report on the number of deliveries, how much you spent on the deliveries, and the cost in 209 and 210? Because you know what's going to happen the first time you come in over in your heating bill here. The delegation's going to jump up and down and scream, and one of the things we were going to do is have a cheaper heating rate. Forget that the price of oil's gone up, they still expect you to have less oil. Is there some way we can get some data that
It's all
shows?
readily available.
Would that be too much work, or is
No,
that?
It's all readily available at the business office.
Yeah, we can bring
I'd
it
be
forward.
prepared with that, so
Yeah.
that when it comes up, because it's sure to come out.
Well, we realized that there was a great deal of discussion through our budget process this year, and, I think recognizing that, the rates were going up, that, as we even went through the process, it was recognized that where are we with this? So we're watching it closely, of course. The pellet boiler's going to be installed next month, October, I hope.
Yes.
We hope, so hopefully.
Well, we increased Jason's budget for heating by $25,000, and he's going to exceed that. And
Yeah.
it isn't because he's running the temperature any hotter than he ever ran it before. It's just the price is going to go up, and you're going to come up against the same thing with the delegation if you can't say, okay, but last year we paid $1.80 a gallon or a cubic yard, or however they sell gas, and this year it's $2.10. I'd be fortified if I were you.
The people I've talked with that burn wood have burned a lot more wood this past year than other years. And including myself, I ran out of firewood. So they've been burning more wood because it's been cooler. January, February, and so forth. I'm assuming that the temperature has been reduced in the old.
I backed it down to 60 degrees
Okay.
everywhere throughout the building.
Okay. Anybody else?
Why would you keep it that high? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Why would you keep it that high, Bob? It's
Well,
not gonna freeze
right now we can shut it off basically, but when the cold weather comes January and
Right,
February,
you got it.
we have a sprinkler system to protect, and there needs to be some kind of heat that's going to get above the ceiling. I'd like to keep it no less than 55 degrees. Otherwise, we run the risk of bursting pipes.
Is there a way to drain these unneeded wings
Not
that
in
we have?
not in an active building. We're still using the building, it still has to be sprinkled. So until those wings come off, they need to be
I
charged.
think you ought to be looking at those wings and shutting those wings, especially the two on this side. Finding where the shut-offs are and reducing the temperature.
Not the sprinkler system. I can shut the water off, but
Yep.
not the sprinkler system.
Okay, yeah.
Number one, there is no way to shut out, to isolate individual wings.
You can. The heat, you
purposely.
can.
No. Sprinkler system,
Oh,
you
sprinkler
cannot
system,
isolate
yeah.
it, no.
Yeah.
Can with a hacksaw.
There's liability there.
Yeah.
If there is indeed a fire and there's no sprinkler system, that fire could spread, there's a liability there. Until those wings come down, that sprinkler system has to remain active.
Okay, any more questions? Yes?
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Do you have a contract with, as far as the pellets go, or are you locked in at a price, or how are you seeing those prices?
No,
We got-
I'm
we
still
got
working
10,000.
on that.
Okay.
We got, what, 10,000? Tonnage is coming with the storage unit. Is it 10,000 pounds?
It's a 35-ton silo.
Okay, so it's 10 tons of pellets that come with the contract.
And we anticipate burning 400 tons.
But they have 10 to start with. And then we go out for contract, go out for bids or whatever. Yes, Damon?
A couple things. So, how big will the pellet system boiler silo be? Will it kind of block out the sun, or is it going to be?
Ask this lady right here, she knows. She
It's-
wanted to paint it a different color.
Yes.
Blue, like the sky.
No, we painted it red. I don't recall how big it is, but I don't think it's, it's,
28
I think
feet?
it's just a little bit above the roof line of that building. Just a bit above it.
The other question I had is about the $1,000 limit. Are there some line items or places that we know that may as well be exempt because it's hard for her to keep track? And is there any kind of emergency provision, like the floor mats? She said were something of an emergency, and the delegation could eat her lunch if she finds out, or if they find out that she spent about $4,000 on something that wasn't budgeted, but it was an emergency and they needed it right away. So.
David, excuse me, the mats had to do with the move. It has nothing to do with an emergency equipment item.
Okay, but the residents were gonna fall, like you needed it
Well,
right
no,
away.
it was, that's the reason why I didn't bring it here first. I had to make a phone call. So, but basically, I, as a department head, I have no problems with expecting and looking at our expense sheet as far as, and getting approval. We need to work on the process a little more so that we're in tune to where we're at a given moment.
What this all means is that we're going to have to look closer at individual line items and put in there the amount that we think we're going to have to need. And it's good management, I think, to be able to do that. And I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, if we had a catastrophe or we needed 25,000 or 50,000, we may go to the delegation for a supplemental budget, but that's up to the commissioners. If we can't find it someplace else in our budget, okay? And again, as long as they stay within the bottom line, that's what the commissioners will look for, but it's good management to question the line items. Anybody else? Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob, you said you're estimating 400 tons of pellets for the year?
That's what the engineer estimated, yes.
Will? I assume everything went okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good.
This is the first time I've done this report thing, so if there's some adjustments that the commissioners would like to see, please let me know. I just kind of took a stab at the, matter of fact, after I got up here, I looked at Sandy's and Jason's and mine's a lot different, but
That's fine.
we don't have a lot to
Yeah.
talk about necessarily at the farm like they do anyways. But if there's something else you'd like to see, please let me know in the future. The only couple things going down the list is we started cutting wood for the season. They've got the wood processor hooked up on the tractor, so they tested it out. Everything so far seemed to be good with the small testing that they did. So right now we're cutting everything into 4 foot, getting ready. I'm also rotating, as you see on there, rotating staff on vacation. So we're a little bit trying to do, get things prepped for one staff before they come back, and vice versa when the next one goes out. They've been picking. I believe we have all the pumpkins picked out of the garden, or almost all of them, and they're in the garage. We've done a lot of sales to employees, a lot of sales to a few local farm stands, but our sales are down. For the farm stands that we sold to last year, our sales are down a lot compared to last year. But we did sell a lot. We still have a lot for sale, so if there's people...
Because of what reason, Will?
One of them, I think...
Farm stands are not selling?
Yeah,
Or-
well, one of them, I think, decided to grow some of their own.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't buy as many from us. Another one, we were kind of taken off surprise, but new ownership, and they didn't want to purchase pumpkins like they did last year.
Mhm.
Actually, that was the case with two different places. There was new ownerships.
Okay.
Do you only sell to the farm stands? I guess what I'm asking is there a way of selling directly to one of the large supermarkets, for example?
Well, yes and no. One of the supermarkets we sell to is one of the ones that's not buying any this year.
Oh.
There's another supermarket, I don't want to make mention of who it is, but I won't sell anything to them anymore. Last year I sold some to them, and I tracked for 6 months trying to get us our paycheck. It was very little because they only bought a few. And after 6 months of tracking them all the way through wherever I had to go, South Carolina, North Carolina, talking to their people, we didn't get our money. For the minimal amount of money it was, I gave up on tracking it and decided we'd never sell to them again. I was told by some employees that they've experienced that way back when, and that we shouldn't do that, but until I experienced it myself, I wanted to give it a try, and I learned my lesson. I should have listened to the people that told me ahead of time. But, so that there isn't. What I have done is we've sold to the employees, and we've tossed around the idea of possibly advertising and doing a day. Maybe we could put them out on the lawn and do a day where we could have the public come in and kind of pick your own pumpkin of what you'd like.
Mhm.
But I don't know, we're kind of in that phase where I don't know if we have quite enough pumpkins to do that this year, if it would be worth it. So we got plenty of time, so we're still looking at it. But just want to advertise that we do have pumpkins if people are looking for them. And we also did some corn stalks. Those went really well this year with that, so that worked out great. Along with picking all the pumpkins, we've been cleaning up the garden, pulling out the plastic, the irrigation things. We still have a little bit more down there to do, but trying to get all that prepped. In the past, I was out for a little while on vacation, but they had low inmate numbers, but it seems today that the inmate numbers have come up a little bit, so that's good, but it has been limited. I could use more, but that's all there is. They've still been mowing the lawns. The grass has still been growing like crazy.
Did you check with Chris Cast about a contract for the new building?
Yeah, they're taking care of it.
They're taking care of it
Till next
through
spring.
next May? Okay.
Mhm. So we haven't had to do that. We started, or today actually, we have a very little wood left that we haven't sold that's already processed, and I'm bringing that in to the barn so that way on a rainy day, because we've sold out some of our hay and we have room now to bring in some wood to a rainy day that's coming up that we can work on bagging that up, give some rainy day work. And then tomorrow evening, we're having the third class on the raising of the pigs. The cost of raising is kind of what this one's going to be focused on, and so that'll be going on tomorrow evening. I don't have anything else. Is there any?
Yeah, I think, and I mentioned this to you once before, or one of your people, that we need to keep all the equipment undercover somewhere, whether it's in the new garage or in some of the outbuildings. I guess I have mixed feelings